afternoon, super friends, and welcome to the Tuesday, March 31st edition of the Sacred News and Weather. I'm coming to you live from the minivan outside of my daughter's choir practice, and I'm coming here live today for a reason. I decided in the course of the last 2 or 3 days or so, maybe a little bit longer, that beginning April 1st, I'm going to be coming in every single day for at least the month of April. This is a goal of mine. And I'm doing it for two reasons. One, because I feel like I was getting a little bit precious about the YouTube videos and feeling like, oh, I really needed to schedule the time and have it perfect and have it just so. It doesn't come across that way because they really are kind of on the fly, but also I could feel myself getting a little precious about it. And so not showing up because I was feeling a little bit precious about it. So today is no makeup in the minivan, no ring light, no nothing. Got the little grays, got the bags, and I'm here, and I'm going to be doing this all April long. I feel like because I'll be traveling, because things will be happening, I will sometimes come in with a longer message. I will sometimes come in with maybe even like a 5-minute card pull. But I'm going to show up every day, and I'm going to show up as I am. Ring light, cell phone, minivan, little corner of my office, my actual office. I'm just going to show up every single day, no matter what. So I'm looking forward to that. And also, like, maybe a little bit nervous about whether or not I can do it, but I also trust myself to do it. I think that's also another part for me. Oh my goodness, there are two little bulldogs walking by with their owner, and they are the cutest things. Um, Part of it too is for my own self-trust and accountability. When I set out to do this channel, I wasn't exactly sure where I was going. And in the past few weeks, I feel like I've been getting clear on how I want to use this space. And so I'm going to try it out this month and see, or next month, which is tomorrow, and see how it goes. So enough of that. As with all of the messages I deliver, take what resonates and leave the rest behind. Please know that these messages are timeless. So whether you are tuning in on Tuesday, March 31st, or at some later date, there's likely going to be something here for you. But if there isn't, go ahead and turn me off. You can look at the list down below and find something that feels right, or you can wait for the next one to come. And there's going to be a lot of them coming this month. And I thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with me. So without any further ado, I'm just going to close my eyes here, and I'm going to deliver the message that wanted to come through for us today. And so the first thing that I heard when I got into meditation, and I feel like it came a little bit from a one-on-one session I did with a client yesterday, and also what I know is happening with a few different friends on different levels. So I feel like the energy is very present in the collective, particularly my immediate collective, but I think it's present in the larger collective, and that is the feeling that devotion, the act of devotion, is not meant to be related to any specific outcome. So I'm going to say that again. True devotion, devotion to your soul's purpose, devotion to a higher purpose, devotion to spirit, devotion to God, Goddess, devotion to whatever it is that you feel most devoted to, your own truth, the truth. These are all things that I'm hearing and feeling right now. Devotion itself is not outcome dependent. What does that mean? Or what do I feel like this means? Or what is the meaning that's coming through me right now? There are a few different flavors of this. The first is related to, what we think of as manifestation. And the idea of mindset work and sitting down to do mindset work and being so completely devoted to a future or an outcome that you spend all of your energy and attention devoted to a particular outcome. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that and with manifesting in that particular way. In fact, I might even tell you to try it sometimes, to really visualize a future for yourself and imagine yourself being in that future right now. But I wouldn't call that devotion. And I feel like we're in this sticky place in the world where we often mistake the desire for a particular outcome and the dedication to a particular outcome, the time and energy and attention we devote to a particular outcome, we mistake that for devotion. And what I feel like we're being invited into is really that surrender, which I know I talk about all the time here, that surrendering the outcome and surrendering it really over to spirit, to your highest self, surrendering any particular outcome to your highest unfolding. So there's an element of, yes, this is what I desire. And also, I trust spirit, I trust myself, I trust the universe is operating correctly, and that my devotion is really to myself, my spiritual practice, to God Goddess, to the highest version of myself. The devotion is really an act of surrender and not an act of asking for a particular outcome. How is this coming into play? There are many threads that I can feel here. One that's coming forward, and it's coming forward from my own life. There's been this element in my relationship history where I have felt like I am so completely devoted to my partner, therefore we should be in a different place than where we actually are. And what I hear there, what I feel there, what my mistake, but it's not really a mistake because the universe is operating correctly at all times. What the learning was that I was being invited to devote myself not to my partner, but to my own self, to my own experience, to my own connection with God Goddess, to my own connection with my soul and my inner truth. And you'll hear me using all of those words interchangeably. I really don't care what version of a higher authority you believe in, or if you don't believe in any one thing at all. What I am asking you to surrender to in that case, if you are someone who doesn't have any particular spiritual belief, is to your most healed and unwounded or recovered self. I think is where the devotion should be aimed toward in that instance. If you are someone who does not have a particular spiritual belief, we are devoting ourselves to our own healing. We're devoting ourselves to our connectivity with something outside of our egoic, everyday, workaday, quotidian life and self. And we are trusting that what is meant for us is on its way, and it may not look exactly like we want it to. And I will tell you from experience that all of those beautiful humans that I have been in relationship with in my history, while they are all beautiful in their own way, I am quite delighted that I am not with them and that I ultimately came back to devotion to self and my connection with spirit rather than to something outside of myself. When we are devoted to a particular outcome, we are attuning our devotion to something outside of ourself. And it is my belief that our divinity lives within ourselves. Our highest version of ourselves lives inside of ourselves. And so we are meant to attune to that still point. We are meant to attune our energy to that place. And when we do attune there, and I wrote down a note, and I'm being nudged to look at it. Yeah, okay. I'll get there. I'll get there. When you attune to that still point, when you get quiet enough to listen to your heart, to your truth, to spirit moving through you, if you will, it's from there that the next right action, the next right decision comes forward. And so I'm inviting you to really attune your attention to yourself, not in a selfish way, not in that, well, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want and I don't care about you. I mean, there is something in there, and some of you are actually being invited to have a little more of that energy, which is why I think it just came out of my mouth. But you will recognize yourself if that is true for you. What I'm actually really speaking to is the underneath that, the what is actually true for me, what is actually needed. And that's where the note comes forward. And what I wrote down was give up in order to gain, surrender in order to achieve. So it's not a pursuit of, it's not hot pursuit of, but it's surrendering to. And if you are manifesting, it is an element of surrendering to what is and holding the frequency of what it is that you desire. But we can get a little bit more into that later. That's really not for today's message. There's an element also here, and I just saw the Three of Swords, um, the tarot card, the Three of Swords, and that can often be the heartbreak card. But I don't get the feeling that there's an impending heartbreak for anyone in particular here. So please don't hear that and think, oh God, my relationship is ending. I don't believe that to be true. What I feel is the cracking open of something inside of you that allows you to realize that ignorance is not actually bliss. I think sometimes we feel like if we don't, what we don't know, like it's better, it's easier, it's a more easeful life, it's a more easeful existence if we don't know something. And when we do, it complicates things. And there is truth to that. Knowledge does often complicate things because it brings us to a point of needing to make a choice or needing to choose a path. I'm seeing the lovers. The lovers, the original lovers was not the lovers, but it was called the choice. So I think that's why it's coming forward. It makes us choose, it forces us to choose a path. And if that feels like where you are right now, if you have been devoted to an outcome outside of yourself, or you feel like you haven't really been devoted to yourself, your true self, you've been giving away all of your energy and attention to either people outside of you or to also an element of like giving your energy away to things well beyond your control, giving away your energy to fear, which is what we were talking about in our last message, where you're giving your attention to all the little sparks of fear that are available to you, and it's depleting you. So asking yourself really, if you're choosing a path, choosing where to focus your energy, asking yourself what your intention is. And I feel like if your intentions are pure, if your intentions are coming from a place of love, of self-love, of universal love, of that unified love, if you are forced to make a choice, look at your intention and choose that path of love, choose that path of self-love, choose that path of nourishment of self, knowing that if you're nourishing yourself and nourishing your spiritual connection and nourishing from this pure place. The word that's coming is pure, which I don't love because it makes me think of purity culture, which I am not an advocate of at all. But if your intentions are true to your soul's purpose, if your intentions are true to your highest self and are not being dictated by fear or external sources, that's when you know that the choice you are making is in alignment. And it feels different. It doesn't feel like you want to create a story around something you're choosing, or you want to defend yourself, or you want to create something that feels outside of you. So again, I'm going to come back to my original point, the original phrase that came through, which is devotion as surrender, and not devotion really as a devotion to an outcome. So we're being invited to be devoted to our soul's purpose and to surrendering it to something bigger than our egoic self and moving from that place in our being. And I'm just going to ask if there's anything else that wants to be shared. I think we're complete. So I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to say thank you so much for joining me. Please like and share and subscribe and tell your friends. I'm going to post below. I'm going to post this when I get home. But I'm also hosting a creative co-working space starting in 2 weeks' time called the End Times Salon, where we're going to be just hanging out together in creation. So whether you're a writer or an artist or a musician or a crafter, a dancer, whatever it is, it's going to be 90 minutes of devotion to creativity, which I believe devotion to creativity is the ultimate act of rebellion in a world that wants us to be a part of a system, a cog in a wheel that grows the system and not ourselves. So come and join me in the End Time Salon. I would love to hang out with you. I'll be giving you prompts. I'll be co-hosting this with my dear one, Eden. And so between the two of us, we'll either be pulling cards or giving you prompts for you to create from, or you can bring whatever it is that you're working on and hang out with us. And somebody asked me too, like, what if the thing that's keeping me from creating is not being able to sit down to pay my bills? And in that case, I'm like, sit down with us, pay your bills, and then let's create on the other side of that. Let's like get you to the point where you're ready to create. So I'm going to put that down below also. We're going to try it for 3 weeks. And if we like it, we're going to keep it going. So you can look for that link down below. And I'll see you tomorrow in some space or place that I frequent, whether it's my home, my office, or the minivan. Take care.